Hey y'all. So it is the third episode of Girl Hill, and I am Shakira, and today's topic is Girl, who told you that? Who told you that you weren't enough? Who told you that you needed to shrink? Who told you that you could not be assertive without being aggressive? What belief about yourself have you accepted as truth without ever questioning it? I remember coming up in grade school, I had all of these friends. They were all in honors courses, just accelerating. I had all of these teachers telling me, Shakira, you are so smart if you would apply yourself. But I had accepted mentally that I was not enough, that I was not capable of performing and excelling academically. So what did I do? Become complacent. They would try to bump me up in my courses. No, I'm okay. I'll stay here. I know that I can pass without studying, so I'm just gonna stay right here. I'm not gonna try to go up. And I remember I reached a point where I hated school. I did not apply to college until my senior year, I believe. And I only applied to two colleges, two, because I said, oh, I'm just gonna do cosmetology. So I end up going to college. It ended up taking me 5 years to get out of college because I started to believe these things. I was not capable of failing academically. It was not until my junior year of college that I truly learned how to study. I learned what works for me. That's part of it too. A lot of times we try to do a one size fit all when it comes to our life and what works for us. What works for others may not work for you. And so you have to find what works for you. And so I eventually learned my method of learning, what works for me. I say all that to say, I remember at the time, as I was going through it, I just felt like a failure. I'm like, all of my friends that already graduated. I'm still here. I'm struggling to get out of college. What am I going to do? All of these negative thoughts in my head. And I graduated and still didn't know what I was going to do. I had a piece of paper, but what was I going to do? Because I think people believe that it's this magic remedy or the light switch that goes off and then everything starts falling into line. I did not have my life in order until I was like 25 or 26. That was how many years after college. Even after college, I switched what it was that I wanted to do, I think 3 or 4 times. Like I said earlier, now I'm in project management. That kind of just fell in my lap. I tried to put everything that I like to do in all these different jobs that I had and said, okay, this is my sweet spot. But in all honesty, that was not in my own strength when I developed a relationship with God. When I became in alignment with His will, that is when my life started to look different. And that is when I really started to see I'm capable, I'm able, I can do whatever it is that I put my mind to. So I started out in healthcare. Thought I wanted to be a nurse, and I went to respiratory therapy, went all over the place. And that's another story for another day. However, when I stepped into project management, it was not until I stepped into my current role that I have been surrounded by women who speak life into me. When I first started, my supervisor was like, you put every acronym, every accolade that you have obtained, you put every acronym behind your name. And why you do that is because you earned it. You earned it. You're qualified. You put it behind your name. If you are not qualified, you would not be here. You would not be in this room. You are qualified. And so every room that you step into, you hold your head high, knowing that you are not here to prove anything to anyone. I'm saying that to say it is important that you surround yourself with women that know who they are, because if they know who they are, who you are will not intimidate them. It will not make them uncomfortable. They will not feel like they need to compete. They will not feel like they need to compare. It is important that you surround yourself with women who are firm in their identity. If you do not know your identity, 9 times out of 10, you don't know your purpose, meaning you don't know what it is that you're supposed to be doing. You'll blow with the wind because you don't have that foundation to know who you are. Being a woman in my 30s, I want to discuss, girl, who told you that you are behind? As women, we are so time sensitive that we think that we're behind if our life doesn't look a certain way by a certain age. At 25, 23, you were saying, I'm going to be married by 25. I'm going to have this many kids. I'm going to be living here. What happens when none of that happens? You start getting in your mind that you're behind. You're not behind, you just arrived. And everybody has a different time that they arrive. Yes, your friends may be getting married and you're still single. Yes, you may watch them have their children. If we can be honest, some of us have even gotten to the point where we have started comparing our lives and our timelines to what we see on social media, and that is crazy. The quickest way to lose sight of your purpose and your vision and what it is that you are supposed to be doing is when you begin to look horizontal and not vertical. You begin to look beside you to see what everybody else is doing. What is she doing? She getting married. That is where, one, you lose sight of what's important, the vertical. You start comparing. Comparison then turns into envy, jealousy. You start saying, why does she have it and I don't have it? What is it about her that makes her? We start looking at people thriving in their careers, but at the end of the day, behind closed doors, you don't know what it is that they go through. You don't know what it is that they had to do to get that. It's a lot of people right now that are envious, jealous, comparing themselves to people that if they were dealt the same hand, they would have folded a long time ago. There's a thin line between admiration and envy. It's a thin line. Thin. If they were honest with themselves, a lot of people see the fruit. They see the fruit. They see what can be shown on display, but they don't see the work that went into getting it. They don't see the late nights, the tears. They see none of that. They see the fruit and they want the fruit, but they want it without the labor. They want the fruit without the seed being sown. They want the fruit without the work ethic. What God has for you will be for you. You cannot get so caught up in what it is that's going on around you to the point you missing who it is that gives direction and guidance, who it is who has the power to bless you. We look on the outside, the outward appearance. We don't even know what it took for them to put their makeup on in the morning or to do their hair or to get dressed. It's all of these things that come into play that you do not know. I struggled with depression. I was able to perform well, but honey, behind closed doors, I was a mess. Some days I wouldn't want to get out of my bed. I had blackout curtain. Everything in my room was black. I didn't want to see light. And so from the outside, people probably were saying, oh, she got it so together. The whole time a mess with social media. There are so many unrealistic expectations. Who told you that your life had to happen in a specific order? We romanticize how we want our life to be. And I'm not knocking you because your girl is a planner. I had everything planned out. What I'm saying is, who told you that it had to follow that order? I hear so many women, especially between 20s and 30s, they want to be married so bad. While I'm not knocking the desire for marriage, but my question is, be married at what cost? Because if we can be honest, some people have completely neglected their standards, their expectations. Is it tough to sit and wait and see your friends get married? They start their families, they doing all of these great things that you deem great. Can it be hard sometimes? Yes. Does that mean that you need to just accept whatever treatment from Joe? No. It's better to be single than to not be at peace. So who told you that you were behind because you're single? While we're talking about relationships, that is a great way to segue into who told you that you had to earn love? Why is it that you believe that you have to prove your worth? Why is it that you cannot walk into a room knowing that you're worthy without feeling like you have to prove it? Because when you know your identity, that trickles over into your worth. And when you know your worth, you know that 9 times out of 10, you're not proving yourself. You're just being who you are because you already know who you are. And it's not to say that you never have imposter syndrome and there's never any doubt, but I believe that you kind of hold your head a little different when you know who you are. Because it's hard for somebody to come try to alter that when you're firm in it. This is not to speak to growth, because in the same token, you need to be open enough to have people around you to hold you accountable and not be surrounded by yes men. What I'm saying is that nobody should be able to tell you about you. Either you're self aware enough so where you can have those tough conversations with yourself in private, or you're open enough that if someone comes to speak to you and say, you know what, your tone was a little off, your attitude was a little off, you don't take it the wrong way. You don't go getting offended, balling up your mouth, crying. When you feel like you have to earn love, you begin to overextend yourself. You begin to perform thinking that what will be reciprocated is love. You believe that if you work hard enough, if you do hard enough, then you'll get love. Your motivating factors are what it is that you expect in return. So when that leads to disappointment because you're doing things not out of the authenticity of your heart, but because you're expecting something from somebody else, which means when they don't meet your expectations, you are now let down, you are now disappointed. In the wrong hands, it's a never ending cycle. People that do not care about you will watch you run yourself into the ground and not think twice about it. They have gotten what they wanted from you and they go on, which then leads to people pleasing. You'll do anything to make the people around you happy outside of being yourself and sticking firm to your beliefs. There's nothing more unfortunate than to watch a people pleaser. And that is coming from an ex people pleaser. 9 times out of 10, people pleasers do not know who they are. I keep speaking about identity, but people pleasers don't know who they are. Why I say that is because if you are a people pleaser, you then have put yourself and what it is that you need on the back burner to make everybody else around you happy. You'll accept people talking to you any kind of way. You'll accept people treating you any kind of way. You'll accept anything to keep them pleased. And the whole time you are dissatisfied. You are miserable. You are mad. You are angry. You are all of these things. You go home, it's heavy. You feel like you have to say yes to everything. No, you don't. There is power in your no. And no is a complete sentence. No. Dot. I don't even have to explain why I said no. No. No, I can't do it. No, I can't show up. No, I can't come. No. Complete sentence. If you are a people pleaser, you then start to perform for acceptance. She'll morph into anybody or anything to be accepted. We don't know if we're going to get Mary, Jane, or Sue because you all three of them in one person because you don't know who you are. I'm going to talk to y'all like I talk to my friends. Being performative for acceptance is clown behavior. If you're driven by acceptance, that means you're driven by external validation, which means you'll always be seeking to be accepted. There's some spaces that the intent of you being in those spaces are not to be accepted. It's to spark change or create impact, which means you may not be accepted. That means sometimes the road may be lonely, the journey may be hard, but you're not there to be accepted. You're there to make change. You are afraid to be in solitude. You know that girl ain't your friend. Every time the spotlight is on you, she's side eyeing you. You know the person is not your friend, but you settle for it because you're afraid to walk the lonely path by yourself. You accept not being supported the same way that you support others because you're afraid of what it looks like. If you say, hey, I'm actually going to have to step back from this because the support is not equal. I had to ask you to show up for me, but I show up for you willingly and freely. It's not equal. I had to ask you to love me, but I give love back to you freely. It's not equal. Love does not have to be earned. Does it require something of you? Absolutely. But do you have to work to obtain it? If you believe that you have to earn love, what happens when someone doesn't choose you? What happens when you don't get the job? What happens when it's somebody that gets promoted over you? What happens when Even in romantic relationships, you aren't chosen. What happens? Do you lose a sense of self? Does it drive you haywire? Does it wreck who you are? If you allow yourself to become hypersensitive, it'll keep you in some spaces longer than you should be. If you are hypersensitive, someone hurts your feelings, you get sad, but you stay in that sadness instead of moving on. Keep living life, because the reality is there will be moments where people are chosen over you, and that is okay. And so, of course, I couldn't be on Girl Hill and not talk about this part. The best thing for you is to surround yourself with people that support you and that believe in your vision and your dreams and your goals. They're not competing, they're not trying to tame them. They want to see you succeed. Sometimes more than you want to see yourself succeed. Having women in your life that speak life into you when they see that you look off. They say, hold on, this ain't, nah, what's going on? And they come and talk to you. If you're not producing your best work, they say, this is abnormal for you to miss deadlines. What's going on? I cannot stand hearing people put themselves down. We all have fallen short. We all have strayed away from what is deemed right. But at the very least, do not put yourself down. You made a mistake? Cool. You didn't do what someone expected you to do? Cool. You didn't show up the way you wanted to show up today? Cool. But don't put yourself down. You're not stupid. You're not incapable. Don't put yourself down. Speak well of and speak well to yourself. That is how you shift the trajectory of your life, of what it is that you believe about yourself, what it is that you say about yourself. For those who have shame associated with their past mistakes, past relationships, you have allowed shame to become your identity. I just want to offer this up to you. Do not allow your past to become your identity. Whether you party, whether you drink, whether you smoke, I ain't gonna try to open up no closets for no skeletons to come out. But whatever you did, because we all have skeletons, whatever you did, don't allow that to become your identity. It's something paralyzing about when you are in agreement with behaviors that were only temporary. You allow those to define who you are. If I were to identify with things from my past and made them my identity, I would still have anxiety. I would still be suicidal. I would still be struggling with depression. I was so hard on myself. Are you still punishing yourself for those mistakes that you made? Meaning, are you still subjecting yourself to certain situations and circumstances because you are still punishing yourself for decisions that you made 10 years ago? Have you outgrown the version of you that feels like you need to punish yourself for your mistakes? Self sabotage. That is what it is. Self sabotage. When I say, have you outgrown a version of yourself, you're still punishing. Have you truly forgiven yourself for decisions that you have made? They may not have been the smartest decisions, they may not have been the wisest decisions, but have you truly forgiven yourself for the decisions that you have made? Who told you too much? Who told you that because you feel emotions, that you are now emotional? You were not created to be a robot, meaning that there are certain things in life that are going to bother you. There are certain things in life that will phase you. There are certain things in life that will alter your response. But who said that's too much? There'll be some people that tell you, see, it's fine when they're in pursuit of their careers. It's fine when they're ambitious, just as long as it ain't you. Because, see, now you're doing too much. You wanted to do, let's just say, a business. I was fine with you having your business plan in your notes. But, see, now you actually executing it. And now you're doing too much. You need to humble yourself. You're doing too much. Who told you that humility and ambition couldn't coexist? I'm ambitious because I want to leave generational wealth to my family. I'm ambitious because I understand that there's some rooms that, as a Black woman, my community may not be able to get into, but I want to make sure I'm in there. When decisions are being made, I want to make sure I'm in there. When resources are being provided, I want to make sure I know how to provide them to my community. And so, who said that's too much? That's the thing. People assume and they believe that their assumptions about you are truth. What makes the difference is, do you internalize their assumptions and allow them to then become your identity? What I'm saying is that you have to have some type of relationship to reprimand. You have to have some type of connection to correct. You started to believe or feel like you took up too much space. And what I mean by that is that you started to believe that you had to shrink to keep the peace and to stay in the room. Who told you that? This year, I made a decision. I'm not shrinking for nobody. And when I say that, I don't say that from a place of ego. I don't say that from a place of self glorifying. What I'm saying is that who told you that you had to shrink to make everybody else comfortable? You'll never see me beat my chest. You'll never see me speak outwardly about anything that I have done if it's not going to benefit the conversation. But in that, I have been in rooms where people would speak to me like I'm an idiot or that I don't know anything because I'm quiet. She must not know anything because she's quiet. And so I'm just going to talk to her any kind of way. And it was this year that I decided I'm not shrinking myself to make people feel comfortable. If I'm talking up here and you can't meet me up here, I'll bring it down a little bit. But as far as me shrinking, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do anything to compromise my peace so that you can be comfortable. Because in all actuality, most of the time when you are excelling, you are growing, and you are doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing, if it is somebody around you that makes you feel like you have to shrink, they're not even supposed to be around you to begin with. Don't shrink yourself to make other people feel comfortable. Be you, fully you, because maybe the rejection isn't because you need to change. Maybe the rejection is because you're trying to do something that you shouldn't be doing in the first place. You're trying to exist in a space you shouldn't be in the first place. And so maybe rejection truly is redirection. That's it. Direction to shift you where it is that you truly need to be. I think that purpose and impact goes hand in hand along with identity. It goes hand in hand. In order for you to know your purpose, you first have to know who you are. In order for you to make impact, you have to know your purpose. And that should be the goal of everyone, to make an impact. One of my friends texted me and said she wanted me to speak about how do you know when you're truly healed? I think that there is a fake assumption that you are not healed if certain things provoke emotion in you. And that's not true. There may be a scent that reminds you of somebody, but it's how you process it that allows you to know if you are truly healed. I don't think being healed is a final destination. I don't think it's a race, it's a journey. Healing is not a race, it's a journey. You should applaud yourself when you do see those moments of growth in you. When you can say, this person would have told my nerves up and I would have went off on them. But today I didn't do that. I stepped away. You know what? This would have probably triggered me in my previous season, but I'm a new person today. It's cool. While healing and growth do not have an endpoint of final destination, what if the way to truly measure if you are healed or if you are growing is in your response? Do you respond differently? Because it doesn't mean that you won't feel it again or there won't be any emotions tied to it. It just simply means that your response is different. The biggest takeaway that I want you to remember is, please, whatever you do, do not shrink yourself. Do not make yourself smaller in relationships. Do not dim your lights. Do not dim your ambition to make other people feel comfortable. And it is not rooted in a place of cockiness, but confidence. Know who you are. Walk into the room with your head held high because you don't have anything to prove to anybody. Hold your head high as if you know that you are that girl and that you will forever be that girl. And nobody can tell you that you are not. Hold yourself high as if you deserve every good thing that comes to you, that goodness comes to you. Goodness comes to you and it flows from you, meaning that everything that you touch in obedience is good. It will produce, it will grow, it will thrive. And so, my question is, girl, who told you that? In this instance, I told you. I told you that you are enough. I told you that you can do anything that you put your mind to. I told you that you can find rest and not feel guilty for rest. I told you that you are more than enough, that you are qualified, that you are equipped, that you are worthy, that you are precious. And so that is episode 3 of Girl Healed. Girl Who Told You That. Make sure that you follow, subscribe, share with the young lady if you think that they will benefit from listening to this. And I will see you on episode 4. Again, Girl Healed, episode 3. Girl, who told you that?